Hey everybody, and welcome back. I'm Shane with the board meeting, and today I'm going to be doing 9 reviews and ratings. I'm going to review all the different games I've been playing in the past couple weeks with friends, family, and even solo. Give a quick overview of each of the games, give a quick review and my final thoughts, and a rating for each of these. We're going to start with my least favorite and go to my favorite. We're going to go through these quickly, hopefully a minute or two for each of these games. And we've got a wide range definitely of games this week for sure. And let's just get into it. And we're going to start with a small little kids game. This is Marvel Battle World. Now, Battle World is a dice rolling game that comes in these little booster balls, I suppose you could call them, where you get a random character, and that character is going to have a card with some kind of special ability on it, and you are trying to defeat these locations. And you are trying to defeat 3 locations before 3 locations are beat you, basically. And on your turn, you are going to roll a dice. You're going to have your character go to a location and roll a dice, trying to beat its threshold of that certain specific stat that world, that tile is. It might have a threshold of 7, so you're going to have to roll the dice and beat that. You're going to add the stats on your own character for those particular stats. Like there's whirlwind. If this is a whirlwind, your character might get +3 for that particular tile. So you're going to roll a die, and if you get a success, you get to move your character along. If you get 3 successes, that's how you beat that tile. If you get 3 failures, that's how that tile is going to lose. You are also, after each turn, you're going to put a new tile out and connect it, and you're going to flip this token, and you're going to put more failures on the worlds that you flip for that token. Just trying to beat those worlds, rolling those dice. This is a game, it's very, very, very simple, very, very light. Obviously a kids game, a collectible nature kids game with blind boosters. It's just a dice game. It's basically just luck. This is not a game that's for me. This is obviously for kids. This is not a game I'm going to bring to my game group. This is not a game I'm going to bring to my 15-year-old. If I had a 5 and 6, 7-year-old, I might be playing this game with them and they might be enjoying it. As for an adult, it's not for me, and I'm reviewing it as an adult. It's not for my kids, not for my game group, and I don't like the collectible nature of it. So blind boosters, I'm not really for. It's going to get a 4 rating from myself. But it's just know that it's not for my type of game. But if you've got kids, you might want to check this one out. Going on to the next one. This is Cartaventura Vinland. And Cartaventura is like a series of choose-your-adventure style games. This is a small little card game. You're going to have a stack of cards, and you're going to be taking these cards off and doing whatever the card says. I won't go too much into it, but you're going to be choosing certain cards to do that particular. There's going to might be some options on that card, and you're like, I'm going to do this. That card's going to tell you what to do. You're going to go through these cards, and you might die, which you're supposed to reset the deck, or you might end up going through the whole deck and winning. And I won on my first try of this, and it's more of an activity than a game for sure. It's not one that I really enjoyed that much. I enjoyed the historical nature of this. This one had the Vinland. It had a Leif Erikson theme to it, which I enjoyed reading a little bit about the history of that. But other than that, the choose your adventure, it was more like just a random thing. Not as an activity, not a game. But it's not an activity that I wanted to repeat. I won the game, and then I went back and I looked at some of the back of cards with the things that I didn't choose, and it's like, oh, if I would have chosen that, I would have died, and then I had to reset the whole thing. It's not one that I want to go back to and play. I'll pass it on to someone. They can try it out. It's going to get a 5.5 rating from me. Yeah, it's choose it. If you like those choose your adventure things, you might want to check it out. But to me, it was just a random kind of sort of choose your adventure style game that wasn't really in my nature. Going on to the next game. The next game is another sort of mass market sort of card game. This is Something Wild. And these Something Wild is a card game attached with some kind of IP, whether it's Star Wars, Disney characters, something like that, Toy Story. There's a bunch of different ones. I had the Boba Fett one. And so that it comes with a deck of cards and a miniature. Mine was Boba Fett, like I said. This is an Uno-esque almost type of game where on your turn you are going to be drawing one of these cards. These cards are numbered and they are colored. And you are going, after you draw a card, you have to play a card. And you are trying to get complete sets. And these sets can either be like a set of 3 of the same number, or a set of a run, which would be like a 2, 3, and 4 of the same type of color. If you do that 3 times in the game, you're going to win. But there's a little twist to this one that makes it a little bit more fun, that it has these power cards on it. And if you have the miniature in front of you, you can use these power cards to do little special abilities. Maybe make another set that turn by using that power card. And you're going to try, so you're trying to get this miniature in front of you by playing a card of a certain color, depending on which power card is out, or by some cards will just give you the miniature. And it's going to get a 6 rating. It's not one that I enjoy a lot, but this is one that's going to stay in my collection, actually, because people who like simple, light games, if someone's like, hey, let's play Uno, you'd be like, hey, maybe you want to try out this. This one's a little bit more fun to me. This is a little bit more tactile, a little bit more choices when you're trying to collect different sets of things, choosing which card to play out. And you can only have 5 cards out in front of you at a time, so you might have to discard some cards that are potentially going to give you a set. But it's nothing amazing, but it's much better than I was actually anticipating for a mass market little card game. So 6 rating for Something Wild. Going to the next game. The next game is a small little card game as well. This is Monsters versus Heroes. This is almost like a social deduction game. Each game you are going to be given a character card, and you're either going to be a monster type or a hero type. If you're a monster, you want to get cards in front of you with the monster symbol. If you're a hero, you want to get cards in front of you with a hero symbol, the light symbol. And so on your turn, you're either going to play a card or draw a card. And these cards have, like I said, they have different factions on them, the monster or hero, but they're also going to have some kind of special ability, which might give opponents some cards, or you might take some people's cards, or just different maneuvering of cards and some stuff like that, trying to get you the type of card that you want in front of you. It's very, very fast paced. This one's going to get a 6.5 rating. I enjoyed it a little bit, but for a social deduction game, because at the end you flip over the card and you're like, oh, I was a monster. You were a monster. You were trying to collect these. But it's too fast of a social deduction game where you can't really bluff much. You might bluff like maybe 1 turn or something like that, but you only get a few turns in the game. So those social deduction games don't work too well. If you're bluffing for several turns in a row, well, you only have several turns. So this one, but it's fun enough, fast enough where that doesn't matter. We played this one like 4 or 5. I've played this like 5 times now, and I've probably spent less than an hour playing this game total. So yeah, 6.5 for Monsters versus Heroes. Next, we have a small little card game again that got some buzz, actually. This is Sea Salt and Paper. And in this game, it is basically Sushi Go, the set collecting of Sushi Go, and the end game of Cabo, where people are trying to collect points. And in this one, you are going to be drawing a card each turn, whether from a stack, blind taking from the stack 2 cards, and then discarding one of those into these 2 open-faced piles, or you could take one of the open-faced piles, one of the top card from that, put it in your hand, and there's a lot of set collection in this. Like, if you get 3 octopuses, they're worth like 6 points, but if you get another octopus, they're going to be worth 9 points total. And you're also going to get these special cards. They're called duos. And there's like 4 different kinds. And if you get like a duo of crabs, you can place out these 2 crabs for everybody to see, and then you do the special ability. There's like 4 cards. Very simple special abilities, like take another turn or top deck a card and put that card into your hand. And on your turn, you can try to end the game, and you're trying to have the most points for that particular round. And you're trying to get so many points, like for different player counts. Like we played 4 players, and you're trying to get 30 points. Whoever gets 30 points first wins the game. This one's going to get a 7 rating. I thought I was going to like this game more than I did, because it's Cabo meets Sushi Go, and I really like both those games. I like this one a little bit less, and it's simply because the end game scoring feels very, very convoluted. Because if you reach 7 points on your turn, you can either say stop, and everybody stops, and everybody gets the points that they have right then and there, which is perfectly fine, very easy, very simple, very straightforward. But if you say last chance, I'm going to read the rules for this, because every time we finished a round, I had to make sure we were scoring correctly. I had to read this, so it's kind of unintuitive. So if they say last chance, the other players each take a final turn, reveal the cards, and count their points. Perfect, fine. But so bet one, their score is higher or equal to that of their opponents. They score the points of their cards plus the color bonus, and the color bonuses are, if you have 3 blues and that's your most of any color, you get 3 points for that. Easy. Their opponents only score their color bonus. So if you win, you get the color bonus plus the points on your cards, and they only get the color bonus. If you lose that bet if you said last chance, you only score your color bonus, but your opponents score the points of their cards, but still not their color bonus. And it's such a weird, unintuitive scoring for that it kind of brings the score down for me. It's still a fun little game, but me having to check the last chance rules every time for the end of the round kind of brought this game, because it doesn't fit the easiness, the easygoing nature of this game. But I still enjoyed it, but I didn't like that end of round weird scoring part. So 7 rating for Sea Salt and Paper. Going to the next game. The next game is also another collectible game, like we had Marvel BattleWorld. This is Star Wars Rivals, and I've already reviewed this game in more depth, but I decided to do a little smaller review for this part. In this game, you are going to get 3 characters of either light or dark side characters, and there are 3 cards that are associated with each of those characters. You're going to shuffle those cards up, and you are going to be fighting over these different locations. Now you're trying to have the most influence over these locations that are going to score that particular round. So at the start, you're going to place each of these characters on these different locations. The locations might have some special abilities on them. After both players have placed all of their characters down, then you're going to roll this dice, which is then going to tell you which locations are actually going to score. Then you're going to take your cards that are in your hand, choose one of them, and place that down, and revealing them one at a time and doing the abilities. And the cards are going to move different characters, because you don't know which locations are going to score when you place out these characters. So some of these cards might let you maneuver some characters. Some cards might let you put negative influence on some of the opponent's characters. They're going to let you do some special abilities, maneuver the game in a way that's tactile and fun. And you're just going to go through all of the locations till all 12 locations are gone, and whoever's got the most points at the end wins the game. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. This is going to get a 7.5 rating from me. I really like it. It reminds me of a couple different games like Marvel Snap or Land, Air, and Sea, where you're fighting over different locations trying to win them. And the bad part of it is that the collectible nature of it. There's blind boosters to get different characters. I don't enjoy that aspect of the game. But unlike Marvel BattleWorld, where I feel like they made these miniatures and then built a small little game that I don't think is that great around those miniatures, I feel like they built a nice game and then had these miniatures. But I do enjoy it quite a bit, just don't like the blind booster boxes of it. So 7.5 for Star Wars Rivals. Going to the next game. The next game is Magic the Gathering Universes Beyond The Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth Starter Kit. Now, this is Magic the Gathering with Lord of the Rings on it. But then I bought these starter boxes so you get 2 starter boxes that you can just take these and fight against each other. There's a bunch of other Lord of the Rings sets in the Magic world now that you can go buy and build new sets and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that. These is just these starter kits that you can play against each other. I like Magic, and I really, really like Lord of the Rings. So when this got announced, I was like, yeah, I'll probably get something. I have this, that's all I'm going to get, and if I want to play Magic, this is probably the way that I'm going to go for it, where people aren't building up their decks so they're not uneven. They're just head-to-head, quick little Magic game. I enjoy Magic. I enjoy this. This is going to get 8 rating. This is a great way that I can enjoy Magic without the hostility of some of the other designs in Magic. So yeah, 8 rating for Lord of the Rings Magic, basically. Going to the next game. The next game is a game that I kickstarted and received a couple weeks ago. Got to play it a few times now. This is Empire's End. This is a game by John D. Clare, who's made a bunch of games that I really enjoy. This is another one that I'm going to really enjoy. At the start of the game, everybody has a bunch of tiles in front of them, like 11 locations. And everybody has the same exact setup in this. And throughout the game, you're going to be flipping over these tiles. They're going to be basically blown up, and you're also going to be maneuvering some of the tiles, switching them from one spot to another. The main crux of this game is going to be the disasters area, which is a lot like No Thanks. So you're going to flip over this card that's going to tell you a location that's going to get basically destroyed. And you're going to go around the table and putting resources on this card to not take that disaster. And finally, when someone finally does take that disaster, they're going to have to blow up that location, flip that tile over. You're not going to score points for that tile anymore at the end of the game, because each of the tiles is going to be worth so many points. But that person also takes all the resources that were on that card that people were passing up that card for, just like in No Thanks. And so, and there's going to be other things along with disasters as well. There's going to be economy phases where you're going to get all the resources that are going to produce for you in the economy phase. And the disaster tiles that you take, when you destroy a place, you actually take a card, and it's going to give you some kind of ability as well, and you're going to tuck that ability underneath one of your locations. And so you don't want to destroy those tiles that have these special abilities on them. And it feels very much like Space Base meets No Thanks. And I really enjoy this game. It's going to get an 8 rating from me. There's a lot of different abilities that you can get. I like how at the beginning of the game, when I first saw that everybody starts the same, I'm like, oh, that's kind of lame. But by the end of the game, everybody's very different. They have different strategies depending on the special abilities they've obtained throughout the game. You go in very different ways. You very much become asymmetric towards the end of the game, where this person has this strategy, I have a completely different strategy. Your strategy might be to destroy a bunch of tiles because you're scoring points for destroyed tiles in some weird ways. And so I enjoyed how different each person plays throughout the game, depending on the situation, depending on where they're moving things. And I enjoyed that aspect of it. It's pretty good game. I really liked it. So 8 rating for Empire's End. Going to our last game of this week. This is The Duke, Lord's Legacy, which is re-implemented The Duke. This is an abstract game where you have a bunch of different tiles on the board. It looks like chess, and all these tiles have different movements. They're different types. You are trying to capture the opponent's duke, which is basically like their king in chess. On your turn, you're either going to draw a new tile from the bag, which can be it's a random one, so you don't know what's going to be getting put out there, and putting that tile next to the duke somewhere. Or you're going to be moving one of your character tiles wherever their movement is. So you're going to move that character, and you're going to flip that character over, and now their character movement and abilities change just from flipping that tile over. And so there's a lot of just variability. It's like chess, but there's a lot more randomness because of those tiles, of drawing those random tiles out of that bag. And you're like, oh, that's cool that this person's coming out. And the game can end very abruptly almost because of what can change in a matter of just depending on what you're drawing from that bag. I really like this game. This game sat on my shelf for way too long. This one's going to get an 8.5 rating. It sat on my shelf for probably 2 years before I finally got to play it. I played it at work with a friend of mine, and we played this game for like 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours, and we ended up playing several games. It's very fast. Some games were like 2 or 3 minutes, depending on what you drew from the bag, and I had some games that were like a half an hour. So I really enjoyed it. If you like abstract games, if you like games like chess, if you like games like Onitama, and even this reminded me of Onitama, you're going to really like this one. I would put this probably in my top 10 abstract games now. I really enjoyed this one. So make sure to check it out if you're an abstract fan. That will complete this reviews and ratings episode. Make sure to comment down below some of your thoughts on some of these games if you want to play them. If you don't, if you disagree with me, or if you agree with me. Either way, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like and subscribe to see more weekly content from me, Shane, at the Board Meeting in the future. Hope you all have an amazing day. Take care.